Oh, it's one of our favorite things. Fresh hot polls straight out of the oven. Leger just popping one out for the Journal de Montréal. News not good for ruling parties. Let's start things off by looking at the provincial side of things. David Heurtel is the political analyst you know and love, and he's on the line. Hi, David.
Hi, Elias.
Let's start off with the province here. CAQ looking at its worst poll in 5 years. More importantly, Quebec City region, they've dropped by 10 points. There's a by-election right around the corner. What's happening with Quebec voters, David?
Well, Quebec voters, just like Canadian voters, when you look at the top issues that they're looking at right now, it's cost of living, number one. Number two is healthcare, and number three is housing. So if you combine the first issue, cost of living, with cost of housing, two major economic points, you're looking at almost 50% in terms of voters saying the economy is their main concern. And right now, both governments, both provincially and federally, are simply not responding very well. Look at the beginning of the year for the CAQ. I mean, you start with Pierre Fitzgibbon saying, okay, we're going to need to reduce the number of cars by half in Quebec if we're going to get anywhere. At the same time, you have pictures of him driving a brand new BMW gas-powered motorcycle. You have Bernard Drainville just picking up where he left off in June, just one blunder after another with the shortage and everything that's going on in the education system. The long-awaited Dubé refoundation. Remember, we're going to not only reform healthcare, but before the 2022 election, Christian Dubé was going to refound. There's going to be a complete overhaul of the healthcare system. Well, guess what? Nothing is moving on that front either. Yeah. So $500 checks here and there. That's good for maybe a reprieve in time for an election. But if you add to that in the Quebec City region, I mean, there's still lasting scars from the total fiasco that was the tunnel. And so the fact is that the CAQ is going through basically what is normal in the fifth year of an administration that doesn't have the pandemic to blame everything for anymore, and has to govern, and is simply not moving the needle at all.
Looking at the Quebec City region, so it's the PQ in first, 30%, and then basically you have the CAQ, Quebec Solidaire, and the Conservative Party of Quebec, basically neck and neck, 21, 23%, right? And then the Liberals, they're not even a factor. Okay, how the by-election in Jean Talon? How important is it, David? Is it important?
It'll give you a picture, and is it really important? Of course, we in the media and everybody, we're going to turn it into something major. But let's face it, the next general election is in 3 years, Elias. And this government has an 89-seat strong majority in the National Assembly. So it might give you an idea of how voters are thinking in Jean Talon and in Quebec City. And it may give you an idea that, yes, the Parti Québécois has come from almost certain death basically a year ago to being back in terms of relevancy. But I wouldn't make more of that than anything. And let's be clear here. I'm not giving away Jean Talon to the PQ just yet.
Yes, of course.
Ground
game is so important,
there you
right?
go. I mean, by-elections have historically low turnouts. There might be a bump because of the tunnel, but at the same time, the CAQ has the organization. And so they might squeak out a win. They might lose by a smidgen, but at the same time, I mean, this does not necessarily mean that this will be a watershed event like we've seen in the past. I remember when we were the government, the Liberal government, Philippe Couillard, there was this election. A year before the general, there was this election in Louis Hébert in Quebec City, which a seat that had been held for years by Sam Ahmad, a former Charest and Couillard minister. And a certain rookie called Geneviève Guilbeault won that by-election. And it was a year before, and that kind of showed Quebecers that the CAQ could contend for government.
What was a force?
But we're not in this type of situation here.
Okay, let's just talk about the federal numbers. Same poll by Leger looks at the federal stuff. In Quebec, great news for the Conservatives. They continue to ascend, and it's the BQ and the Liberals. They're still ahead, right? They're tied, 29% the BQ and the Liberals.
Yeah.
But boy, it's showing that Pierre Poilievre is resonating with somebody here. What's your take?
Well, what's going on? I think in terms of like we've been talking and talking about the problems of Justin Trudeau. At 29%, he's kind of holding his base. I mean, he's not at the 35% of the 2021 election. But the real news, I think, in this poll is the huge drop of the Bloc, which the Bloc is losing 7 points compared to the previous poll. And the Conservatives have picked up 5 points. So this, if we compare to the 2021 election, Elias, during that election, 2 weeks before the election in 2021, the Conservatives were around 23, 24, 25%. And that translated in about between 20 and 30 seats. Now, we know the Sachi Curl question, the English debate, blah, 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 and Aaron O'Toole fumbling at the goal line on many different issues, couldn't finish it up, couldn't close the deal with Quebecers and Canadians, for that matter. And that netted 10 seats. But I'll just give you an example. Trois-Rivières, the Trois-Rivières riding, was won by the Bloc over the Conservatives by 91 votes.
Oh, wow.
That, if the Conservatives go from 16, 17 to 23%, not only do they win Trois-Rivières, they win other Mauricie seats, Quebec City seats, Chaudière-Appalaches, Central Quebec seats from the Bloc.
Yeah.
And so this is huge. And yes, Pierre Poilievre on the economy again, on housing. Look, let's go back to this other element of the poll. Quebecers, their top issues: 1, cost of living; 3, cost of housing. And it adds up to 48%. So Pierre Poilievre keeps hammering on this, and the Bloc, I mean, isn't seen as connecting with this. It's all fine and good to talk about preserving Quebec's identity and being nationalists and preparing for independence, but when you're condemned to never being in power, and you have serious pocketbook issues, kitchen table issues, well, then a lot of these voters in central Quebec are going to turn conservative.
Wow. David, listen, always great talking to you and analyzing things. Thanks for coming on this morning.
Always a pleasure, Elias. Take care.
David Heurtel, don't forget you can catch him Friday at 5:05 on Montreal Now as well, and on the Big Five on Mondays.